newcomers when it comes to the Liberty's Gears Pro Street category here at the PDRA, presented by Manson Motorsports.
And they both have 660 man at home on the mantle. Kincaid with a little bit more success than Reagan when the Kincaid team debuted that Camaro. I don't think they made it to our first event of the season, but they won every single race on tour after that season.
The car was very, very dominant when they first came over, but now you see other teams have gotten better. But I will also say that I don't feel like the Kincaid car has been at its top performance level the last couple of outings. Tim's back behind the wheel. He's in and ready to go. Kincaid spins the tire in the middle of the racetrack, and Richard Reagan 404, 191 miles per hour. He had that from point A to point B. 040 on the reaction time. Tim Kincaid was one number slow to 60 foot. Tried to make up the difference between the 60 foot and the 330 cone. You saw that car lose traction. So you watched the FloRacing instant replay. It slid right by the mid-track camera as Richard Reagan out and gone. 404 and on to round number 2.
This may be a marquee matchup. Pulling through the water box right here, Ty Casper, the turbocharged 05 model Mustang they call Sinatra, out of Westville, New Jersey, for Casper Performance Edge and Victus Sports. He'll be up against Dan Norris on the right-hand side out of Brighton, Michigan, the PSI Valve Springs 2022 Mustang for Noonan. Eminem Menser. I'm sorry, Tyler. I looked there. I thought you had something to say there.
I was just waiting.
Converters. Dan Norris has looked good here at VMP this weekend.
Yes, he has. And while we're going to talk about this pair, let's talk back to the pair of Richard Reagan and Tim Kincaid. If you're watching at home on FloRacing, you just saw the instant replay. If you notice the difference between the two cars, Reagan's car had the front end in the air 6-8 inches. Kincaid's car had the front end on the ground. We talk about it all the time, how these cars in the heat have to rotate that weight back on the rear tires. You see Richard Reagan go 404. You see Tim Kincaid have a handful of steering wheel.
So on this particular pair on the starting line, watch Dan Norris's car do exactly what Tyler just spoke on. He's going to hike that front end up and march that thing down the 660-foot race car course, where Ty Casper is going to build up the hair dryers and have big mile per hour down on the top end. Try to drive around that Ford Mustang on the right side.
And that's what I was about to say. You're going to see the difference in the two power adders in this matchup. Norris will get out, will out 60 foot the turbo car, but the turbo car should have more miles per hour at the top end. This will be a matchup that should be decided by inches at the finish line. Your number 7 and number 10 qualifiers are going to battle it out right here in round number 1. 3,000 separate them up front. They are dead even down the racetrack, and what a drag race. Dan Norris takes it 4.052, takes down Ty Casper's 4.065. What a drag race to kick off. Wow. 5 miles per hour difference, but look at the 60-foot difference, Scotty. 0.06 of a second difference for Dan Norris. That was the difference in the drag race.
Yeah, that Mustang of Norris's has looked better than it has in a long, long time here at VMP this weekend. He'll march on to round number 2 with a big win under his belt. Andy Manson, left side of the racetrack. Manassas, Virginia-based 96 Mustang. And Ron Green, the Green brothers out of Chesterfield, Virginia, the Game Changer Firebird for Quick Fuel and Green's Towing. And Tyler, these two cars have been in more different configurations than any. These two together just trump the rest of the field and probably the pit area.
In all combinations, these two have driven them all. And I think they've driven them all in their two vehicles, from turbos to Pro Chargers to now the screw blower. Two Virginia hot rods that have raced each other numerous times over the years. Andy Manson left side for Chris Akers and Akers Performance. Right side, Ron Green for Quick Fuel and Green Brothers Racing. This matchup could be a good one. Both drivers are about the same as far as consistency. Ron, just the quicker of the two. Both made it down the racetrack 2 out of 3 times in the qualifying sessions yesterday. Green on the right-hand side, your higher qualified car. Slow it down a little bit there, Pedro. And Ron Green maybe has a little bit of an advantage because he got to pick his lane. But Andy Manson is a tough customer as they begin to go up and light the top bulbs.
Yeah, Green the first one to do so. Andy Manson comes to the party. Let's see who's going to light the stage beam. It's going to be Manson. Green's in. Here we go.
Manson loses traction. Ron Green out and gone. 4:05. The elapsed time for the game changer Firebird. Ron Green had the advantage off the Christmas tree by 0.03 of a second. And Andy Manson lost traction in the middle of the race course. Ron Green will take the game changer on to round number 2.
Yeah, watching the FloRacing replay, Andy Manson's car got angry just past the 60-foot cone. And
Scotty, when you look at that replay, you saw the same thing with Manson's car as you saw with Kincaid's car. The front end just did not have enough travel in it to get up on the limiter and roll down the racetrack. That is the key. When the racetrack's got a little bit of temperature in it and the sun is out, you have to get the crankshaft in the air on this smaller tire to be able to apply the power. Some have done it, some have not. And we've got 2 more that are going to try to do so.
Joe Winsley Jr. left side out of Dearborn, Michigan, the 2016 Camaro. And Bill Riddle on the right-hand side, another Michigan-based hot rod. Howell, Michigan is where he calls home for the 89 Camaro for Corrigan Race Fuels, Mickey Thompson Cigar City Garage, and SSI Superchargers. These are 2 drivers, and we've been speaking on it all weekend. Two drivers. Riddle, a past world champion in the category. Winsley, a front runner in the category. Right now, though, Bill Riddle is the higher qualified machine coming into race day here. Riddle has struggled since he won his world championship, trying to get all the pieces aligned, the stars aligned, and go to Fuel Tech victory lane here at the end of the day. But right now, he's got to get around Joe Winsley Jr., and that is no small task. Here we go. Tree fires and they're off. Small starting line advantage is going to go to Winsley. Top end. The win light, though, goes to Bill Riddle. 4:06.8. Great run here in the opening round.
Nice drag race right there. Winsley had a slight advantage off the starting line. Bill Riddle had the horsepower. Bill Riddle will take that roots blower and move on to round number 2.
So next up, left side of the racetrack, that's Mikey Cecina out of Henderson, Colorado, the KTR Racing 03 Mustang. Right-hand side, all eyes in the facility have been on this machine since it pulled through the gate. That's Fletcher Cox in the Training Day 69 Camaro. Fletcher dropped everyone's jaws last night when he came out in Q3 and laid down a 398.9, and at that time went to number 1. Ultimately ended up number 4 on the qualifying sheet. Tyler Fletcher's having him a weekend.
Let's be honest, you know, all the attention coming into this weekend was on Fletcher. And really you wonder, as a driver, does that affect you? I mean, he's played in a Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl. So you would think that pressure doesn't get to somebody, but you're on a big stage right now with a lot of attention looking at you on the right-hand side of the racetrack, and he sits beside his KTR teammate and Mikey Cecina for round number 1.
959 cubic inches underneath the hood scoop of Training Day there on the right-hand side of the racetrack for Cox. Mikey Cecina, he wants to dampen the spirits at the party. He wants to get a win light here in first round, and that'd be huge for that team. Both drivers, the crew members, have made their adjustments. They walk away. Drivers head to the top ball.
Fletcher was in trouble, but he makes it down the racetrack. How about 4:03 for the big man? You know, we've talked about weight transfer. That might have just come into his advantage being an ex-football player. Fletcher Cox missed it a little bit on the Christmas tree. Mikey Cecina had trouble, could not get down the left-hand side of the racetrack. Fletcher Cox turns on his first PDRA win light And we'll see him in round number 2, sitting beside a past world champion, and he will have lane choice over Bill Riddle.
Wow. Fletcher, I guarantee you there's a big old grin down there at the top end.
You haven't been able to smack that big grin off his face until he pulled in the gates on Wednesday.
So our next pair, Tyler, is going to be Joe Thomas on the left-hand side out of Charlottesville, Virginia. The American Dream Chevy 2 for Concrete Mafia and Clyde Smith Heating and Air. And Joe Thomas in qualifying, I believe he went a career best 4:14.
I do believe that was a career best. Marty Dabney and Marty's race cars have been working on that hot rod. It just thrashed to even get it here. And then they came out, made 3 runs all the way down the racetrack. That's one thing about both of these cars, that they have to run each other here in round 1, but they both made all 3 runs to the finish line. And that is worth something. Ethan Steading, right-hand side, your reigning world champion. He did it in a lot quicker form, but Joe Thomas is one of those cars that if he goes down the racetrack and he goes A to B and you slip just a little bit, he will pounce and take advantage.
We watched it happen in all of our other categories here so far this weekend. Can Ethan Steading break the trend? He's number 3 qualifier, defending world champion like you spoke on, but he's got a tough customer in Joe Thomas.
If you're Ethan right now, you kind of have a nightmare. This same situation happened at Galat. He sat beside Joel Winsley Jr. He had about a 1/10 of a second on him out of qualifying. Ethan struggled in round 1 to get down the racetrack, and he was knocked out in his first race as reigning world champion. Joe Thomas builds the booth. Ethan Steading rolls in second. Can he get it done? Thomas has to abort, and Ethan Steading, how about 4:04 at 190 miles per hour? But Joe Thomas was absolutely ready for the kid. He let go of the trans brake button, 002, had a big time advantage, but had the front end in the air and could not steer.
So our next pair, Shelby Kendrick, got in the field as an alternate, was number 17. Big shout out to Brian Weddle and that team. They had a catastrophic engine malfunction in Q3 last night.
Yep, Brian had a big time malfunction out of the engine. Just nasty.
Yeah, we saw the still picture just a little bit ago, and I don't think there was another orifice that fire could have come out of.
No, it was wild for sure. And that camp came up, made sure that we knew that they were not going to make the call. Shelby Kendrick is able to come in as an alternate, the number 17 qualifier. Congratulations, you made race day. You've got a 2-time world champion and your number 2 qualifier that you have to sit beside now in Tim Essick.
Yeah, Tim Essick out of Port Tobacco, Maryland, the Brown Sugar Mustang for Essick Motorsports, Pro Charger, Billet, UPR, PRS, Fuel Tech, and ATI. Number 2, he dropped a 397.7 in qualifying and has his other passes, one was okay, one not as good.
If you're Essick right now, I feel like you come up here just with something that can go 409, 410. If you're Shelby, your best run was 425. You got to do something, but you also have to be there. Shelby was there. Tim Essick, 407. Shelby had the reaction time advantage, made a good run, her best run of the weekend, 421 at 177. And Tim Essick will know that. Tim will get out of the car right there and go, I'm really glad we didn't make a mistake, because that could have been a round 1 exit.
Tyler, looking at the ladder, round 2. Tim Essick versus Dan Norris, with Norris having lane choice.
Round 2 of Pro Street will be an absolute barn burner. If you're watching online on FloRacing and you are within driving distance of Virginia Motorsports Park, round 2 of Pro Street on its own is going to be worth the price of admission.
So Bill Devine, left side of the racetrack out of Muskegon, Michigan, the Bullseye Power 01 Mustang. Mickey Thompson, Maxima Oil, Fuel Tech, Ram clutches, which would seem odd on one of these cars, but we'll get back to that in just a moment. Mincer Motorsports and Turbo Smart. Bill Devine, the only clutch car in the category, has a tall task at hand, Tyler. Who's on the right side?
He does. He's sitting beside your number 1 qualifier, Blake Denton. Blake laid down a shot last night. Let's just be honest. 396.2 put his '69 Camaro known as Bonnie in memory of Lizzie Musey into the #1 qualifying spot for the 2nd race in a row. He also laid down a 403 and a 408. That is going to be a consistent race car that you have to fear if you're Bill Devine. The difference is Bill Devine has not made the run that we have seen him make before. Bill Devine as a number 16 car is not something that you are breathing easy about if you're Blake Denton. You have to make a good run right here. Bill Devine, we have seen this car go nearly into the 3-second range and mid 4.0s. If he pulls that dart out of the bag and it hits, Blake Denton could be in trouble. Blake Denton was 001 and goes 4.06. Bill Devine, 428, not his best run of the weekend, but how about Blake Denton comes up here and lets go of the trans brake button, 001, 1,000th away from being perfect, and goes 4.060. Attention in the pits, Elite Top Sportsman. Elite Top Sportsman, if you are not on your way here, you need to be here. Elite Top Sportsman, we need you now.
So Tyler, let's go over round 2 matchups real quick for Pro Street. Blake Denton will face off against Richard Reagan, with Reagan having lane choice. Fletcher Cox will meet Bill Riddle, with Riddle having Fletcher Cox having lane choice. Tim Essick and Dan Norris, with Norris having lane choice, and Ethan Steading and Ron Green, with Steading having lane choice. Going to be an epic round 2 of Liberty's Gears Pro Street, presented by Mincer Motorsports.
So once again, as we are getting our Super Street competitors under the tunnel and all aligned out, Elite Top Sportsman, Elite Top Sportsman, we need you. Elite Top Sportsman, we need you. Elite Top Sportsman, we need you now. Elite Top Dragster, you're on standby.
All right, time for PDRA Super Street, presented by Brian's Heating and Cooling. And if you thought the Pro Street machines had a small tire, look what's underneath of these guys. First pair was supposed to be Brad McBride versus Dustin Mewborn. We're 7 and 8 in the qualifying order. Dustin not making the call, so Brad McBride in the Volkswagen that could. Here on the left side will be on a competition single for Schaefer's Oil, Yance RV, Icon Pistons. And you may look down there and think, how the heck is a Volkswagen competitive in this category? Keep your eyes on the summit lane. McBride has a 660 man at home, is a past event winner here in the PDRA. But I think he may just drive down here on the bye run. I don't feel like that car I say that, he starts to build some boost. No, not what they're looking for. They're just going to drive down for the bye run and move on to the next round. All right, if you're walking around, don't forget on the midway, Spouse Concessions has fresh squeezed lemonade, Uncle Dave's kettle corn, Mama Brown's with Southern Food. The grill is open. And make sure you check out one of the new ice cream sandwiches at the Hot Rod Grill. The VMP souvenir stand is open, as well as the Flying A Motorsports Classic Graphics PDRA apparel trailer. All right, so McBride cleared, racetrack ready to go. Bey Jr. was supposed to face off against Dan Wettstein in red velvet. Your defending champion in the category not making the call. So Bey Jr. out of Baltimore, Maryland, a 2014 Camaro for ATI Performance Products will be on a single pass right here. So Bey Jr. competition single here in the opening round. They fire off that ATI performance product and may be pretty happy that he did have a competition single. He knocked the tire off it on the launch. Finally, we're going to get us a pair. Phil Hines, David Knight. Phil Hines, left-hand side of the racetrack at 11 on Ohio, the 01, the Mustang with the Pro Charger on it. And David Knight, that beautiful 1972 Nova out of Kannapolis, North Carolina for Knight Performance. Rossler Trans, Harrell Engine and Dyno, and Forced Inductions. David Knight, been doing a lot of testing in between races, trying to get this Chevrolet on the right side where he wants it. He's got a tough customer here in the opening round with Phil Hines on the left-hand side. Members get them lined up where they want them, and they'll head to the top bulb here shortly. Tree fires in there all. David Knight in the turbo car, 472.6 at 160 miles an hour. He left first and never looked back. So David Knight in that Knight Performance Nova will move on to round number 2. Mike Gunter on the left-hand side out of Chesterfield, Virginia, the duct tape 88 Mustang, and Connor McGee, the young gun in the Brian T. Cooling family-owned notchback on the right side. Fulton Power Plant underneath the hood, nitrous assisted for Connor McGee, multi-time event winner. Comes in the 4 qualifying position. He won a 4.69.4 on this tiny tire. Side by side they go to the top end. It's going to be Connor McGee. 4.74.1. Mike Gunter lays down his best ET of the weekend, but it's not going to be enough for the young gun out of South Carolina in McGee. He'll move on to round number 2. And he will face David Knight, with Knight having lane choice. Michael Webb, Carson Perry. Webb on the left-hand side out of Front Royal, Virginia, the 1991 Mustang. And Carson Perry on the right-hand side out of Sims, North Carolina for Greenbrier Excavating. Team debuted at our season opener at Galot Motorsports Park and struggled throughout the weekend, but man, as they made a turnaround here at Virginia Motorsports Park. They qualified in the 3 spot at a 4.64.2 and have been down the racetrack every time. So a tough task ahead for Michael Webb here on the left-hand side. He needs to have his run of the weekend, but as we've seen in the opening rounds of our other pro categories, anything's possible. In the pit area, we need elite top dragster. Elite top dragster, we need you. Elite top dragster, we need you for E1. This one, though, is going to be all Carson Perry, 4.72.3. He had the better reaction time and never looked back. Carson Perry on to round number 2. Just a housekeeping note, fuel will close at 2 o'clock. Fuel closes at 2 o'clock, so keep that in mind if you need some racing fuel. So our next pair, Blake Molnar, the Hinckley, Ohio-based Pigpen Mustang, left side of the racetrack for Manzo's Sports and Spirits, Motorsports Unlimited, Tank Fab, Tiff Extreme Transmissions, and Matt Shallow, the Little Kim Camaro out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, for Canarium Race Engines, 1320 Fab, Tyndall's Tools, and Mincer Motorsports. Been watching Matt Shallow run this category. And he has looked better here at the start of 2025 than we've ever seen him. You'll have to get around Blake Molnar. But this is a 2-for-1 right here. the way the car count worked out and the ladder worked out, you win this one and you're on a bye run to the semifinals. Looks like they're going to reposition the Mustang of Blake Molnar on the starting line. Shallow waits patiently in his blue Camaro. Dwayne, our PDRA starter, is out there pointing at something on the starting line. And it looks like they're going to wave Matt Shallow on. Elite top dragster, we need you. Elite top dragster, we need you. Ooh, and Matt Shallow has big problems up here on the launch. Let go 16, and that car immediately turned right into the retaining wall. So track officials will run down and make sure he's okay. So watching the flow replay right here, that thing didn't move 10 feet and went a hard right into the wall. All right, so Matt Shallow is out of his race car talking to PDRA safety officials. They're checking him out, but thankfully got out of the car under his own power. right, so we'll be just a few minutes while I get the racing surface cleaned off. Got the rollback out there to get the car out of the way. From watching replays, the only thing that we can deduct, of course, this will be just a educated guess. Looks like he might have broken an axle on the launch that turned the car into the retaining wall like it did. So we'll be just a few minutes while we get things cleaned up. Bear with us.
Thank you to our sponsor, Stroud Safety. Stroud Safety designs and manufactures the racing industry's most durable and dependable safety equipment.
party, make sure you stop by the Hot Rod Grill. Just have something good to eat, something cold to drink. The Flying A Motorsports PDRA apparel trailer, brought to you by Classic Graphics. Event t-shirts. All things PDRA. The black trailer is located right below the summit sign there at the beginning of the grandstands. All right. The hazard lights are on the tractor. That means they're on the final lap. We'll be back underway and racing here momentarily. All right, so one more competitor remains here in PDRA Super Street presented by Brian's Heating and Cooling, and that's your #1 qualifier who earned the bye run by car count the way the ladder works out. Austin Vincent will be on a single pass. So Austin's Mustang fires to life out of Central City, Kentucky. The 20-year-old behind the wheel for Vincent Performance, Drummond Race Design, Nitrous Express, Davis Technologies, Steph's Fabrication, Jessel Diamond Pistons, and Maxima Racing Oil. For the second race in a row, Austin Vincent finds himself starting race day from the #1 spot. He went a 4:58.2 in qualifying in this nitrous-fed monster on the right side. Getting that bottle pressure where he wants in the Mustang. Then he'll pull up towards the top bulb. Paragon Pro Junior Dragsters, we need you. Paragon Pro Juniors, we need you. For E1, please.
Yeah, there goes Austin Vincent on the single run. How about 464 for Vincent at 159? Your #1 qualifier, that Central City, Kentucky Blue Oval Ford. Advancing on a Super Street presented by Mincer Motorsports.
So Derek, it is time for some 200-mile-per-hour bracket racing. Who's not ready for that? Our first pair pulling through the water box, Keith Floyd on the right-hand side. Out of Lexington, North Carolina, the 2016 Corvette was your number 16 qualifier to 4:03.3. He dials in out of 4:13 here for first round. And on the left-hand side, Bruce Thrift out of Waycross, Georgia, the Color Me Gone 08 GTO for chassis engineering and TRC roofing. Bruce, number 8 in the elite field at a 388.3. Dials in here this morning, or this afternoon now, at a 390.
Yeah, a little last-minute tire pressure adjustment you've seen down there for Bruce Thrift. Him and his team. Burnout is complete and back to the starting line. The Color Me Gone Pontiac comes. And Keith Floyd driving duties with that Corvette you see out of Lexington, North Carolina. Seen Chevy go down earlier in Pro 632. Dad gets to try his hand now here in Elite Top Sportsman. Going to be leading first at 4:13. Bruce, 390 on that Summit side scoreboard. Hey, we do want to make an announcement out there, and we apologize, but no pop-up tents out in the grandstands. If you can take those down or move up to the very top row, I believe you're probably going to block some spectators' view, unfortunately. And Keith Floyd, how about 006, 407, 180 miles an hour. Those are the numbers for Floyd as Bruce Thrift turned it 4. Thou red. 383 at 193 for Bruce Thrift.
So our next pair out, Brian Laflam on the right-hand side out of Mooresville, North Carolina, the 67 Mustang for Big Stuff TPM. YO Motorsports, Noonan Race Engineering, and Maxima Oil. He'll be dialed in at a 380. And Jeremy Creasman, the car they call Skittles, here on the left-hand side for CNC Chemical, Par Racing Engines, Sam and Dave's Auto Sales. Jeremy, victorious at the season opener down at Galot. He's got a tough customer, Brian Laflam, on the right-hand side.
and Jeremy Creasman. 1 foul separate them in reaction time and give the win to Brian Laflam. The Ford Mustang out of Mooresville is going to be advancing this afternoon. Is 18 total. How about that for Brian? Jeremy lays down 393, 2 above at 183, and no good.
David Crafts, all the way from Maine, here on the right-hand side of the racetrack. The 63 split window Corvette for Crafts Cars. Proc Performance, Wilkins Race Engines. He'll be dialed in out of 397. And Randy Perkinson on the left-hand side out of South Chesterfield, Virginia. That G-Force built 67 Mustang dials in out of 383.
So there comes Perkinson's Mustang, pulling up to the pre-stage beam on the left-hand side. Dave Crafts taking him on. I want to say this is the first time we've seen Dave in Elite Top Sportsman with us here on tour. See how he fares in round number 1. Going to be leaving first, and Randy Perkinson, the local runner to VMP, gets to give chase.
383 to a 397 for their dial-ins. Starting to head towards the top bulb.
Staged and ready, tree fires. Green lights appear. Dave Crafts in trouble. Randy Perkinson is controlling this one. And the finish line stripe, give it to Randy. 384 at 184 the numbers you see to be advancing to the next round. Dave runs 399, 182 the speed, and was 60 going by the tree. And that's never a good thing when Randy Perkinson let goes to be 13.
Mike Keeler next out on the left side of the racetrack out of Middleton, Virginia. The 68 Firebird for Keeler Motorsports and CCF. And Brian Tiff on the right-hand side out of Middleburg Heights, Ohio. Schween Motorsports 2021 Corvette. Brian dials in out of 384. 4 flat for Mike Keeler here on the left-hand side. Of course, Schween Motorsports switching over to Fulton horsepower over the off-season. Very talented driver, and Brian Tiff behind the wheel. 384 there dialing. 4 flat for left side Mike Keeler.
The Brian Tiff, the Schween Motorsports, Ohio-based. Powered entry here on the right side. Let's see how he fares against Mike Keeler, the supercharged Pontiac Firebird. Oh, Keeler better on the starting line and better at the other end. 401 at 183 for Mike Keeler. Your winning numbers there. He takes 37 thou. Brian Tiff goes 387 off the 384 dial, and he was behind when they went by the tree.
Paragon Pro Juniors, we need you for E1. Paragon Pro Juniors, we need you to the staging lanes at this time for E1. Scott Duggins on the right-hand side. The 63 split window out of Inman, South Carolina for Par Racing Engines. Scott dials in at a 392. And here on the left-hand side of the racetrack, Dan Ferguson, the Hellraiser 2000 Viper out of Harrisburg, North Carolina for Rossler Trans, Bohr Racing Products, and Wilkins Race Engines. Ferguson dials in at a 383. Going to try to run down that black Corvette there on the right-hand side of the racetrack.
So Ferguson's Viper trying to take on Scott Duggins' 63 split window. Should be a good matchup we see here in Elite Top Sportsman. there for Scott Duggins. It's going to be Dan Ferguson going 382 at 196 after being 028.
Dwayne Silence, left side of the racetrack out of Jacksonville, North Carolina for Silence Service Center. The Hog Farmer behind the wheel, the 68 Camaro. Dials in out of 389. And Glenn Butcher out of Dolestown, Ohio. Albert Race Engines, a Bruzy Trans, Hoosier, and Butcher Demolition. Your reigning world champion there behind the wheel of that Flame Machine. Dials in out of 379. #1 qualifier here this weekend. #1 on the roof. Your defending world champion, Glenn Butcher, right side, 379. Dwayne Silence, 389 on the left.
Oh boy, Glenn Butcher let go way late. But there's a win light. Dwayne Silence lifts before the finish line in an attempt not to break out, and he gives it back by 4 thousandths of a second. 396 off the 389 dial on 180 miles an hour. Glenn Butcher sailed on by, one above at 198 for the win. Glenn Butcher just got a gift here in round 1 of Elite Top Sportsman.
Aaron Glazer on the right-hand side. The Chevrolet Camaro out of Shepherdsville, Kentucky for Derby City Calibrations. Dials in out of 387. And Tim Lawrence, left-hand side in his 2013 Camaro they call the Phantom. Bell Trucking and Pro High Wall Mining on board his hot rod. He dials in out of 392. And Lawrence fresh off a runner-up finish at the season opener.
Red light for Aaron Glasser, your winner, Tim Lawrence. The team out of West Virginia goes into round 2 at 393, 185. Tim Lawrence having some success early on this season so far in Galat and Virginia.
And you know, Derek, it almost has to start that way because 8 races is a shootout style point series. You need everything to go your way every time.
Yeah, every single round win counts towards something, and you never know when you're going to have an off weekend. Either you not qualify or you go out in round 1, so it is it's crucial.
Ron Whitlock on the right-hand side of the racetrack was supposed to face off against Jamie Fowler. Jamie not making the call in the Pimpin' and Lippin' Camaro. So Whitlock will be on a competition single, 404 the dial.
There goes Ron Whitlock, competition singles. Jamie Fowler could not make the call. How about 001 and dead 6? Ron Whitlock is 7 total here in round 1.
So, Derek, now we're going to move over to Larice Motorsports Insurance Elite Top Dragster, presented by Greenbrier Paving and Excavating. Our first pair out, Tom Martino and Dickie Smith. Smith here on the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Waldorf, Maryland. The race tech for Mazier, Paragon, Hoosier, Computech, and Corbin's RV dials in at a 392. And Tom Martino, the Lucas Oil Hot Rod on the right-hand side out of Youngstown, Ohio, 383. $392 for Smith, $383 for Tom Martino.
To a 58, Martino's in trouble. Dickie Smith, there we go. 395, 174, and he is moving on. Tom Martino, 383, dead on the dial with a 4, 189, but in the way at the starting line.
So a rematch here from the final round of our season opener at the East Coast Nationals. Kyle Harris versus Steve Furr. Harris, left side, the Bantam out of Burford, Ontario, Canada. Your defending world champion in the category for DFS projects, Harquip, Hartman Machine Works, 00 permits and projects. Dials in at a 375 and multi-time world champion here on the right-hand side. Past PDRA champion as well. Steve Furr out of Harrisburg, North Carolina. The Red Rocket American chassis for Hoosier VP, House of Pain and Mosier. He'll be dialed in out of 383.
I feel like this little monster matchup right here.
Well, yeah, at the final round at Galat, Furr blew the tire off, and then Harris crossed the center line. So they're looking for a good side-by-side matchup right here.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to give it to you. Kyle Harris, final one to stage. There they go. Great top-end charge out of Kyle Harris by 3 thou. He is your winner. 376 and 009's a pair. 385 there for Steve Furr. Couldn't get much better than that.
In the pits, MagnaFuel Top Sportsman 48. MagnaFuel Top Sportsman 48, we need you. If you jumped on a scooter that wasn't yours, if you mistaked it for yours, please bring the scooter back up here to race control. Someone has jumped on the wrong machine. Our next pair already done their burnouts. Marty Jones on the right side out of Toms River, New Jersey. The Megadyne Group, Extreme Racing Performance, Ken Moses Transmission, Spitzer Chassis dials in out of 388. And Fast Freddie Perkins on the left-hand side of the racetrack. The 2016 Maddox chassis for Tommy Tate, Maxima Racing Oil, and Mickey Thompson Tires dials in out of 382. Staged up, tree fires, here we go. Red light for Fast Freddie. He rolled the beams, 499 red. Marty Jones going to march into round number 2 at a 391.9. And I don't know, Marty let go 57, so he was there for the take and ran 3 above. But Fast Freddie must not have had the box set right, as that thing was 499 red. MagnaFuel back half Top Sportsman, we need you. MagnaFuel back half Top Sportsman, we need you. Our next pair, backing up from their burnouts. Kellen Farmer, Team Race Tech here on the left-hand side. Out of Graham, North Carolina, dials in out of 378. And Lindsey Coleman on the right-hand side. I know he had a parts call last night. Must have got it fixed up. Platinum Coast Properties, Cousins Towing, Donnie and Julie Wilson. Lindsey dials in out of 389.
doing 24. Better reaction time for Lindsey Coleman, and by 14th thou, it's going to be Lindsey. 390 at 188 off the 389 dial, and Kellen Farmer goes 379 here. He's 14th thou above the dial and no good.
Magna Fuel back half, top Sportsman, we need you. Some more. Back half, top Sportsman, we need you to the staging lanes for your next round of eliminations, please. All right, getting the next pair fired up here underneath the tunnels. Supposed to be Brian Anderson and Vaughn Caulfield. Not sure if somebody's on the clock, but it certainly sounds like somebody's having issues keeping their machine running. So here they come out from the tunnel. Brian Anderson on the left-hand side. Out of Carson, Virginia, the 2023 race tech. Going to be dialed in right where he qualified, a 375. And Vaughn Caulfield. Vaughn out of Lake Placid, Florida, the 2019 Maddox chassis. With the power plant, the FTI transmission. Vaughn dials in at a 384. .384 to a 375. Brian Anderson here left side.
Right now, Brian Anderson, Vaughn Caulfield, your pair on the starting line as we are in Norris Motorsports Insurance Elite Top Dragster. Presented by Greenbrier Excavating and Paving. They are staged. Red light by 31 thou for Caulfield. Brian Anderson, 380. He's 5 above the dial at 191 miles an hour after being 042.
Russ Whitlock next out. Left side of the racetrack from Mocksville, North Carolina, the 08 Race Tech. For Sunrise Tire and Hoosier Tire, dials in at a 382. And Alan O'Brien on the right-hand side for Greenbrier Excavating. The AMC powered Race Tech for Barry Allen Race Engines, PTP Tuning, Mickey Thompson, and Weaver's Automotive. If you're out and about in the pit area, that's one you want to go check out. Quad turbos on that dragster on the right side of the racetrack, and he'll try to run down Russ Whitlock right here, Derek.
Yeah, Alan O'Brien has always been a big supporter of the AMC power plants and really an innovator of that combination. Him and Patrick Barnhill have worked for many, many years to perfect it. And Russ Whitlock to be taking him on here. Final one to stage is going to be Whitlock. They are in. Tree's working its way down. And Alan O'Brien is in control at the starting line. Moves around a little bit out there, and by 0.05 of a second, give this one to Alan O'Brien. 384 at 184 miles an hour for Team Greenbrier, as Russ Whitlock goes 386. He's 4 above the dial at 181.
Michael White next out on the left side of the racetrack. At Arden, North Carolina, the CNC Chemical Par Racing Engine, Sam and Dave's Auto Sales Machine. He'll be dialed in at a 382, and he'll have Jody Stroud in the Zombie Spitzer chassis out of Chesterfield, South Carolina for Stroud & Son Crane Services and Prestige Worldwide. Jody Stroud dials in at a 369 in the Zombie.
Let's see if your #1 qualifier can take down Michael White right here. That Zombie turns it green. Jody Stroud better on the starting line, and the atomizer scoreboard lights up with the win. 371 at 198. He takes 9 foul at the finish line to be advancing here. Michael White was 382. He's dead 9. He's 40 total and no good.
Larry Roberts and Josh Duggins, our next pair. Roberts on the left-hand side. So Roberts, a past PDRA world champion, left side of the racetrack for Roberts Equipment and Repair. The 2016 race tech's going to dial in at a 383. And Josh Duggins over on the right-hand side for Par Racing Engines and Hoosier Tires out of Inman, South Carolina. Duggins dials in at a 373.
Clean and green. Oh boy, Larry Roberts. 003, and Larry Roberts is your winner here at 384. He is 19 foul above the dial. Josh Duggins was 376, off the 373 at 199. Killed about 2.5 miles per hour down there, but Larry Roberts, he is better all the way down the 660-foot race course.
So it's time for first round of eliminations for Paragon Pro Junior Dragster, presented by Philadelphia Racing Products. And I know, Derek, that Jody Gore's in attendance today, and she always hits me up when I work in these races and say, hey, let me know when the Pro Juniors come up. Some of the best racing of the weekend happens right here.
I got to meet your sister.
She probably won't like you either. Shane Daly on the right side out of Bowie, Maryland.
Dude, I just want to see how she dealt with you for 70 years. Oh, my
And
gosh.
Donald O'Mara III on the left side for O'Mara Realty. 790 the index that these machines run on. Watch the Christmas tree. Pro tree for these drivers here. 790 index. Here we go.
There we go. Donald O'Mara trying to overcome the reaction time deficit. Not going to happen. Shane Daly at 9 thou, the finish line stripe on a hole shot. He's your winner.
#1 qualifier here this weekend, left side of the racetrack in Emma Crane out of Dunkirk, Maryland, the 2019 half scale, and Mackenzie Hogan for Hogan Motorsports and O'Mara Realty on the right-hand side out of Dudley, North Carolina.
about 16 to a 37? Mackenzie Hogan better at the starting line, and at the top of the racetrack, it's going to be Emma Crane by 6 thou. Man, there's been some really tight racing we have seen all throughout eliminations here today. 790 with a 5 at 82 miles an hour is 5 thou over the index. Mackenzie goes 793 there. Cost him at the other end of the racetrack.
Valerie Wright out of Chesterfield, Virginia. The Venom half scale here, left side of the racetrack for Twisted Concepts and Hubble Performance. And Ivy Galley on the right-hand side out of Pasadena, Maryland, the 07 half scale. Ivy carrying the 1320 Fab banner on the side of that machine.
They are clean and green. Ivy, right side. Valerie, left side. And the wind light's going to come on the atomizer lane by 7 thou. Wow, every pair so far here in Pro Junior Dragster has been thousandths of a second margin of victory. Hey, real quick, please. If you have the blue pop-up, which is the only pop-up in the grandstands, if you could take that down, we'd greatly appreciate that, please. Hate to make that announcement, but if you could do that, the staff here at Virginia would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Caitlin Page next out on the left side out of Forest of Virginia. And Carter Jackson out of Powhatan, Virginia on the right-hand side for RCI Builders.
About 26 to a 38. Carter Jackson, right side, your winner, 8 thou margin of victory. It happens again. Man, 792 at 82 miles an hour takes down Caitlin Page, 792 5 charge. And yeah, it was on the whole shot.
Every pass so far, a 00 margin down at the stripe here in Paragon Pro Juniors. Next out, John Krieger Jr., left side of the racetrack, the Ghost 2.0 out of Hampton, Virginia. And Mallory Maddox on the right-hand side out of Lynchburg. 2018 half scale for Rustburg Auto.
About Mallory Maddox there. Dual breakout, and 789-1 beats a 788-8 for John Krieger Jr. 3 thou difference in the breakout. That's going to determine that one right there.
Aiden Tillman and Spencer McGee are next pair out. Spencer on the right-hand side is 2018 half scale. And Aiden Tillman left side out of Henrico for Hubble Motorsports and Kaiser Wheels.
Hey, your attention to the pit area, please. We need back half top sportsman. Back half top sportsman, we need you to the staging lanes, please. Back half top sportsman, you have been called to staging and not seen too many of you. So right now, Spencer and Aiden, you're on the starting line. How about 041 to an 022? Aiden Tillman better on the starting line, and 5-10 thou at the finish line stripe. It's going to go Spencer McGee's way. 791 with a 1 at 81 miles an hour beats Aiden Tillman 793 charge, but 5-10 thou is your margin of victory there. That is the closest race we have seen here in Pro Junior Dragster. Next pair, Alan Bukowski and Griffin Davis. You got Bukowski there on the right side from New York. It's the Thornton Motorsports half scale. And Griffin Davis from Virginia.
Bukowski with the win light, 793 on the 91. Griffin Davis runs too quick. Landon Cashwell on the right-hand side out of Wallace, North Carolina. Jody, you're going to have to come get your father. Mackenzie Alexander on the left-hand side, the Little Grinch for FMJ and Sun Construction. Mackenzie picked up the win at the season opener.
Right now, Landon Cashwell is going to be 16 green, 803. Way above the index. Mackenzie Alexander gets another round win, and that much closer, going for a back-to-back final round appearance.
Brayton Gallen on the right-hand side out of New Kent, Virginia. And Chris Suppers, past world champion, left side out of Manassas, Virginia.
Oh boy, Braden way late, in trouble. Chris Suppers looking over his right shoulder, gonna start grabbing that brake pedal. And 794 for Chris Suppers on a hole shot. Right now, Justin Kirby takes on Landon Lewis. Landon over there on the right-hand side of the racetrack at Mechanicsville. And Justin Kirby's half scale from Hertford, North Carolina. Number 15 and 31 qualifiers meet here in Paragon Pro Junior Dragster, presented by Philadelphia Racing Products. How about Justin Kirby? 21 up front. You look at him down track, looking at each other, and it's going to be Justin Kirby. 1 thou at the finish line. 791 with a 4. Landon's going to break out there. 788 with a 3. 81.85. Aiden Christian and TJ Harvey, your next pair. You got TJ on the left-hand side of the track out of Burlington. Mike Boss chassis for Holland Enterprises and CK Motorsports. Travis making the final adjustments, bringing the idle up. And Aiden Christian for Hubble Motorsports, local runner out of Richmond. Flash and go. Harvey's trying to find Christensen down course, and it's going to be TJ Harvey. 7:94, the winning elapsed time, as Aiden goes 7:89 with an 8 under by 2 thou. Got there first by 38 thousandths of a second. Emma Freeman and Zach Shirkey coming to the starting line next. Shirkey, summit side of the racetrack, and of Maryland with that half scale. Qualified number 6 with a 790 with a 4. And Emma Freeman from Mount Airy. 2021 Mike Boss built chassis. Got into the field in the number 22 spot by going 791. By 7 thou, Emma Freeman goes red. Zach Shirkey, your automatic winner, goes 792. Be into the next round of competition. So this is going to be Ryan Harris, left-hand side of the racetrack, the team out of Ontario, Canada. Meet alongside Colby Helms. Colby coming out of the state of North Carolina for Tough Jug and Maximum Oil. He went 791 in qualifying to be down in the number 27 spot. Ryan Harris laid down with a 790 with a 6 to be number 11 of the final qualifying order. Pre-stage bulb lights up for Ryan. Here comes Colby. They start to bump their way in. Watch the flash and go. Red light by 9 thou for Colby Helms. His day is done. Ryan Harris advances, being 002 and going 786. A little quick there for Ryan at 81.88 miles an hour. Your attention to the pit area, please. We need bracket bash. Bracket bash, lanes 5 and 6. Attention to the pits. Bracket bash is a call for you to 5 and 6. So here is Ashton Hallis and Danica Miles. You got Danica left side of the track at ECP chassis from Ridgeway, South Carolina. And Ashton Hallis, 16 thou red for Hallis, and Danica Miles, your winner there on the summit side. On the 790 index, Danica goes 789 with a 3, 82.05 the speed. All right, this is going to be Colt Somm and Lily Steading. You've got Team P2 contracting on the starting line, left-hand side, and Colt Somm for S&S Motorsports. And here's your tire, and Nick Woods. Now, Colt Somm is in control right now. Lily Steading, let's see if she can turn this one around. Not going to happen. Breakout for Lily at 789. Colt's going to go 793 and take 12th out the finish line stripe.
So Alyssa Tillman on the right-hand side. Ada Henrico is supposed to face off against Alyssa Rabin. Doesn't look like Rabin made the call.
Alyssa Tillman goes 787 here on that competition single. So time for a little track prep here this afternoon at Virginia Motorsports Parks. Hey, we want to tell you, if you are out in the stands, spectator-wise, thank you for coming out and supporting the Redline Oil PDRA Drag Racing Series. It's a pleasure to be able to come here to such a great facility in Dinwiddie, Virginia, and show you the world's quickest and fastest pro mods. And we thank you for supporting this series each and every year. So after some track prep takes place, we'll be back into racing action. Don't forget, if you want to stop over to the Hot Rod Grill, grab yourself something to eat. And, of course, the Classic Graphics trailer is selling official PDRA merchandise. They have a sales rack over there if you're looking for a good deal. Scott and the gang has one.
Liberty Skiers is your elite manual transmission specialist. From street stock to pro mod, their in-house machine shop gives them the advantage to make sure their customers are getting the best quality products possible. Check them out on the web at www.liberty.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Unleash the power of performance with the Edelbrock Group. For over 85 years, our legendary brands have been trusted by automotive enthusiasts around the world. From street performance to racing, our innovative solutions, engineering, and testing deliver unmatched power, precision, and reliability. Proudly manufactured in our 7 facilities across the U.S., we stand by the quality of our craftsmanship. The Edelbrock Group, where passion meets performance.
This is what you save your lunch money for. Welcome to the High Limit Room.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
We drive performance. We drive passion. A background in drag racing. And a future in all forms of motorsports. Because success in one sport isn't enough. Pushing ourselves to be the best. Climbing every mountain. Topping every peak. Until you see Fuel Tech everywhere.
A lot of my times when I'm announcing some brackets here at VMP will tune into the Thompson race.
On Flow.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
So Dan Hill did his burnout, lost fire. Gets the car back here to the starting line, cleaning it out a couple times. We'll see if everything is A-OK with Dan Hill's machine. But Joe Robachek over there on the far side brings that 68 Camaro into the beams, and Dan accidentally turns on both pre-stage and stage bulb immediately. So our official starter, Wayne Lang, will back him out and let him restage under courtesy staging.
Dan Hill with the reaction time advantage and the win light. 412 with the 0 on the 410 dial. Robachek way off. 445 on the 425. Okay, Robachek getting pushed off the top end, so we'll pause the two on the starting line just for a moment. It's Keith Castle here left side. The 07 Stratus dials in at a 425, and Robbie Stewart here on the right-hand side, the Teats Excavating GTO. So we're checking the racing surface real quick to make sure there was nothing coming out of Robachek's car. Getting the all clear. So Robbie Stewart for Teats Excavating on the right-hand side. 434 the dial. Racing in memory of Terry Teats. Terry's old GTO, and that's a good-looking machine for RS Fleet, or Equipment and Fleet. And Keith Castle here left side, the Stratus out of Ohio, 425 the dial.
There we go. Robbie Stewart, 41, that Pontiac GTO. Keith Castle gets a gift. 071 and 429, 4 above the dial. The Dodge out of Ohio advances.
Good matchup right here, Derek. Nick Maloney and Travis Butler. Butler on the right-hand side out of Pocosin, Virginia. The 53 Corvette for Peninsula Automotive dials in at a 438. And Nick Maloney, left side of the racetrack out of Brentwood, New Hampshire. The TT Motorsports Camaro for Nesbitt Performance Engines dials in at a 427.
Butler staged first. Maloney, final move into the beams there on the left side. How about green lights a pair? 10 thou going to the right side. Can Travis Butler turn on the win light? It's not going to happen. He takes 38 thou to be under 436 on the 38 at 161. Nick Maloney goes 428, one above at 163. TT Motorsports is into the next round.
Vince Vercade on the right-hand side of the racetrack out of Mount Airy, Maryland for 4K Transmissions, the 2015 Camaro. Right trailer, Cifelli Racing dials in at a 434. And Stacy Johnson. The Johnson family here on the left-hand side out of Stafford, Virginia. Dial that Camaro in at a 447.
So Team Wright trailers. Vince 4K approaches the starting line. In the atomizer lane, Stacy Johnson, that beautiful blue Stallard Virginia Camaro. Right alongside of him. Forcade's 51 and behind it. There's a win light though in Vince Forcade's lane. How about 437 and 161? Forcade takes 3 thou at the finish line to be moving on to the next round. Stacy Johnson was 020, goes 453 off the 47 at 154. He bases mile per hour off where he qualified at. He was down about 3.5 miles per hour overall.
Don Bean next out on the left-hand side out of Sunset Beach, North Carolina. The 2000 S10 dials in at a 438. And Josh Myers, the Beretta, on the right-hand side of the racetrack out of Rogersville, Tennessee for Myers Towing and Recovery. He'll be dialed in at a 454.
Pick him up truck and Don Bean turns it loose. Oh boy, Don Bean has 53 to work with. He is going to be your winner. How about 001 and 443, the winning numbers there on the left-hand side. Josh Myers goes 455 here at 155. He was 19 thou above the dial and no good.
Scotty Wasco, left side of the racetrack out of Columbia Station, Ohio for Hoosier, Wiseco, Tiff Motorsports, a Bruzy converter, and Motorsports Unlimited. Dials in at a 415. And Jeff Delvacchio, the deep purple 69 Camaro out of Buddy's Concrete Service with the Wilkins race engine. He'll be dialed in at a 424.
Wasco drops it in drive, and he comes to the starting line there as Jeff Delvacchio is guided to the pre-stage beam. Two GM products, the Pontiac there on the left side, and Camaro right side for Delvacchio. Oh boy, how about 008 to a 007? Win light, left side. Scott Wasco takes 29 thou to be one above at 175. Jeff Delvacchio 4 above the dial, 168 miles an hour, and he is not going to advance to the next round as Scott Wasco lays down a very nice lap there.
Dan Germano next out on the right-hand side. The Bad Habit, 68 Camaro out of Manson. Okay, he's out of New York. We're trying to figure out from where. The Royal Purple Machine for Barrel Battery, NGK, and Miller Welders dials in at a 429. And Ron Biondo, I got this one, Derek. Macedonia, Ohio for Tiff Transmission. Nesbitt Performance Engines, a Bruzy. He'll be dialed in at a 421 here on the left side of the racetrack.
So Dan Germano, Ron Biondo here on the starting line. That silver, red, and black aluminum. Out of the Buckeye State, gets to take on Dan Germano from New York. Just about staged and ready. Tree's on its way down. Red light by 12 foul for Dan. This is going to be Ron Biondo advancing. 5:08 off the gas early at only 99 miles an hour, and I'm not sure it's exactly as planned for Ron Biondo.
Yeah, look at Dan, 12 red and then goes dead 5, man.
Yeah, that's something to just be sick about.
Vonnie Mills, left side of the racetrack, the Show and Tell Camaro for Hoosier Tire. Should be dialed in at a 407. And Wendell Denny Jr. on the right-hand side out in Oaksville, Virginia, the 04 Cavalier. 448 the dial for Wendell. Lucian and the crew on the right-hand side. Big win. Jordan looking sharp out there in those crew shirts.
There's Vonnie Mills staged and ready. Wendell Denny Jr. lets go off the top and turns it 10 red. And Vonnie is perfect. A perfect reaction time for the Show and Tell Camaro at 4:07. Lays down 6 total. What a lap for Vonnie Mills here.
Yeah, that would have been tough to get around. Trip, zip, launching, and dead 6.
Yeah,
wow.
Wendell lifts early and goes through there at 474 after seeing that red light shine in his lane.
David Wheaton next out on the left-hand side out of King George, Virginia, the 97 Oldsmobile for CMR Crane and Rigging, 660 race cars, dials in at a 443. That beautiful 67 Ford Mustang on the right-hand side for FMJ and Sun Construction of Francis Jarrell. 441, the dial in for Francis.
So Dave Wheaton pulls up. Ready to battle it out with Francis Jarrell, that good-looking blue oval Mustang, the pony car on the right side. And the blue Oldsmobile out of 660 race cars for Wheaton. Green line left side, green line right side. Here they come, 660 feet later, and by 43 thousandths of a second, Wheaton's going to be your winner. 444, one above the dial as Jarrell goes 43 off the 41 at 162.
Steve Furr next out on the left side out of Harrisburg, North Carolina. The Furlock Racing 68 Camaro for Hoosier, VP, Mosier, and House of Pain dials in at a 420. And Ken Langlois on the right-hand side out of Milan, Michigan, the Lang Transmission Cutlass. Napa Auto Parts, Mullins Auto Repair helping him out. 450 the dial in for Ken.
So Ken Langlois comes off of that win. Galot Motorsports Park, race number 1 of the PDRA Tour a few weeks ago. Now he's going to take on Steve Furr right here at Magna Fuel Top Sportsman today. Tough competition. Green lights appear. Oh man, Steve Furr had some issues with the starting line, has to lift, and this is going to be 027 and 454. Your winning numbers for the Oldsmobile Cutlass. Furr gets back in and goes 492. Just trying to run him back down in case anything went awry in Ken Langlois' machine, but that did not happen. Go back and watch the instant replay on FloRacing, and starts to hike the front end and push him straight to the left, and that's when he lifted and pedaled it once or twice.
Mike Alexander Jr. next up on the right-hand side. The Grinch Corvette for Walking Tall Garage will be dialed in at a 425. And Mark Payne here on the left-hand side. The House of Pain Cavalier dials in 13. Pre-stage lights up. Payne left side, 413. Alexander on the right-hand side, 425.
Oh boy. Mike Alexander Jr. is going to see a win light in his lane. How about a perfect reaction time in 429? Problems for Mark. He goes 681 in the House of Pain Cavalier.
So Jeff Melnick backs up his Dodge Avenger here left side of the racetrack out of Hubbard, Ohio for Exotic Fab. Was supposed to face off against Mason Merritt. Mason not making the call. 417 the dial for Melnick.
So Jeff Melnick staged and ready. On this competition single, he lets go to be 6. Melnick, 2 above, 419 and 174. Takes the Dodge Avenger to the top of the racetrack there.
So now we're going to make the move to Edelbrock Bracket Bash presented by Comp Cams. In the pit area, Larice Motorsports Insurance Top Dragster presented by Derek Wolf Trucking 48. We need you. Back half Top Dragster, we need you. For your next round of eliminations, please. Back half Top Dragster, we need you. Tisha Wilson, left side of the racetrack out of Salisbury, North Carolina. The 2018 American chassis dials in at a 458, and Nathan Tanner on the right-hand side. Mechanicsville, Virginia-based dragster.